Somewhere in your house, there might be a photo of your first birthday. You're smiling, cake on your face. Someone you love is right beside you. You have no memory of it, none at all. And that should feel strange to you because you were there. Your eyes were open, your brain was working. So, where did that day go? You weren't unconscious, you weren't asleep. For the first few years of your life, you were awake, alert, and absorbing the world at a pace you will never match again. You learned a language from scratch. You learned to recognize faces, to walk, to understand that objects still exist even when you can't see them. That's an enormous amount of learning. And yet, almost none of it comes with a memory attached. Why does the brain do that much work and keep almost none of the receipts? Scientists have a name for this gap. They call it infantile amnesia. The term isn't new. Sigmund Freud wrote about it back in 1899, more than 100 years ago. He noticed that adults could recall almost nothing from before the age of 3 or 4, and he assumed it was because those early memories were too disturbing to keep, buried on purpose by the mind. He was wrong about the reason, but he was right that something strange was happening, and for decades after him, nobody could explain what. Here's the first thing you need to unlearn: babies are not blank. They are not empty little machines waiting for memory to switch on one day. Researcher Carolyn Rovee-Collier proved this with a simple, almost playful experiment. She tied a ribbon from a baby's ankle to a mobile hanging above the crib. Kick your leg, the mobile moves. Babies as young as 2 or 3 months old figured this out fast. They kicked, they watched it spin, they learned the connection. Then she waited. Days passed, weeks passed. When she brought the babies back and hung the same mobile above them, many of them started kicking again, right away, before they'd even touched it. They remembered, not vaguely, specifically. If she changed the mobile even slightly, changed a color, swapped a shape, the babies hesitated. They noticed something was different. That's not the behavior of a creature with no memory. That's a creature with a working memory system, storing detail, holding on to it for weeks. So if babies can remember, why can't you remember being one? The forgetting isn't happening at storage, it's happening somewhere else. And that somewhere else has a name too: the hippocampus. Think of the hippocampus as the brain's filing clerk, not the place where memories live permanently, but the structure that tags each experience, timestamps it, and files it away so you can pull it back out later as a coherent story. The problem is that filing clerk isn't fully built yet in an infant. It's under construction. New neurons are still being added to the hippocampus at a rapid rate through early childhood. And every time a new neuron gets wired in, it can disrupt the older connections around it. Picture a filing cabinet where new drawers keep getting shoved in sideways, knocking the old folders onto the floor. The information was real. It just isn't retrievable anymore because the system that would let you find it is still rearranging itself. This is where developmental psychologist Patricia Bauer's research becomes essential. Bauer at Emory University spent years tracking exactly when childhood memories start to stick and when they start to fade. What she found is that infantile amnesia doesn't end sharply, like a curtain lifting. It fades out gradually. Children can recall detailed memories from age 3 or 4 for a while. Then, as they get older, more and more of those early memories quietly disappear, even ones that seemed vivid at the time. By around age 7, the offset is largely complete. Whatever memories survive past that point tend to stay. Everything earlier has mostly been swept away, not all at once, but piece by piece. Here's the part that should genuinely surprise you: this isn't a flaw. It isn't your brain failing at its job. It might be exactly what a developing brain is supposed to do. Consider what an infant's job actually is, biologically speaking: not to remember a specific Tuesday afternoon. Its job is to build the general rules of the world fast and store them in a form that doesn't need a timestamp at all. Language is like this. You don't remember the individual afternoon you learned the word dog. You just know the word. Walking is like this too. You don't remember week 7 of learning to balance on 2 feet. You just walk. These are called procedural and semantic memories, the how to and the what is true kind of knowledge. And they don't require the specific, dated, story shaped memories that adults rely on. The infant brain may be prioritizing that general knowledge over specific episodes because general knowledge is what actually keeps a helpless, fast growing creature alive and adapting. Autobiographical memory, the kind where you remember yourself in a place at a time, doing a specific thing, is a much later and more sophisticated tool. It requires a sense of self that persists across time. It requires language. So the memory can be organized into something like a story. It requires a hippocampus that's finished enough construction to file things reliably. None of that is available to a 1 year old. All of it starts coming online around the age language does, which is exactly why your very first flickers of real memory tend to show up right around the years you also started forming sentences. There's a cultural layer to this too, one that quietly shapes exactly how far back your memory goes. Adults who grew up in cultures that emphasize detailed personal storytelling. Parents who ask a child, and then what happened and how did you feel, tend to report earlier first memories than adults from cultures that emphasize group experience over individual narrative. The raw biological cutoff is similar for everyone, but the specific age of your earliest memory can be nudged, earlier or later, by how much your early life was narrated back to you in story form. Memory isn't just stored, it's rehearsed. And telling is a kind of rehearsal. So the mobile experiment tells you the memories were real. The hippocampus research tells you why they couldn't be filed properly. Bauer's work tells you the fade happens slowly, not all at once. And the cultural research tells you memory formation isn't a pure biological switch. It's shaped by the people around you from the very beginning. Which brings you back to that photo. The cake, the smile, the person standing beside you. You have no memory of that day, and you never will, no matter how hard you try to force one. But you're not actually missing that day. Not really. You're built from it. It's in the shape of your comfort around certain people, your reaction to certain sounds, your baseline sense of whether the world is a safe place or a dangerous one. None of that arrived with a timestamp. None of it arrived as a story. It arrived as you. Every time you flinch at something you can't explain or feel instantly at ease with a stranger for no clear reason, some fragment of those unremembered years might be doing the work. You've been carrying your infancy this whole time. You just never got to read the file. So, the next time someone hands you a childhood photo you don't remember, don't think of it as a memory you lost. Think of it as evidence. Evidence that the version of you standing there, cake on your face, was already quietly building the person reading these words right now.